June 28, 1969. Pride ignited. A police raid on the Stonewall Inn in New York City triggered a series of events that became a defining moment in American LGBTQ history. The Stonewall Inn, located in the Greenwich Village neighborhood of Manhattan, was one of the few establishments that welcomed gay, lesbian, and transgender patrons at a time when homosexual acts were criminalized in most states. The bar operated without a liquor license and was frequently subject to police raids. However, the events of that early morning were different from previous raids and resulted in an uprising that marked the start of sustained LGBTQ resistance in the United States. At approximately 1:20 a.m., officers from the New York City Police Department entered the Stonewall Inn to conduct a routine raid. The police attempted to arrest employees for selling alcohol without a license and also sought to detain patrons who violated gender-appropriate clothing laws. As officers escorted individuals outside, the crowd began to grow agitated. Eyewitness accounts report that a lesbian woman, repeatedly struck by police while being taken to a patrol car, urged the crowd to act. This sparked a spontaneous outburst as bystanders began throwing coins, bottles, and debris at officers. The situation escalated quickly. Police officers, forced to retreat into the bar, barricaded themselves inside while protesters attempted to set the building on fire. The New York City Tactical Patrol Force arrived to disperse the crowd, but confrontations continued throughout the night. Over the next several days, thousands of people gathered in the area to protest police brutality and demand civil rights for LGBTQ individuals. Though the initial riots were quelled within a few days, the impact was immediate and far-reaching. The Stonewall riots did not represent the first LGBTQ protest in the United States. Earlier demonstrations had occurred in cities like Philadelphia and San Francisco. However, Stonewall differed in its scale, visibility, and consequences. The riots inspired a wave of organizing among LGBT communities across the country. Within weeks, activists formed new groups, including the Gay Liberation Front and the Gay Activists Alliance. These organizations pushed for legal and social reforms, promoted LGBTQ visibility, and challenged societal norms. 1 year after the riots, on June 28, 1970, thousands participated in the Christopher Street Liberation Day March, held in New York City to commemorate the anniversary of Stonewall. This event is recognized as the first gay pride march in U.S. history. Similar marches were held in Los Angeles, San Francisco, and Chicago. The tradition of pride parades has continued annually, growing into a global movement that honors LGBT identity and history. The Stonewall riots also prompted increased media attention. For the first time, mainstream newspapers and broadcast outlets covered LGBTQ issues extensively. Though much of the early coverage was sensationalized or negative, it nonetheless brought national awareness to the discrimination faced by LGBTQ Americans. Over time, Stonewall became a symbol of resistance and a rallying point for legal and political advocacy. In the decades following the riots, the U.S. saw major shifts in public attitudes and policy. Activists built on the momentum of Stonewall to push for anti-discrimination laws, marriage equality, and HIV/AIDS awareness. In 2016, President Barack Obama designated the Stonewall Inn and surrounding area as the Stonewall National Monument, the first U.S. national monument dedicated to LGBTQ rights. This federal recognition cemented the historical importance of the uprising. The Stonewall riots remain a critical event in American history because they marked the transition from passive endurance of oppression to active resistance by LGBTQ people. The events of June 28, 1969, transformed the LGBTQ movement into a visible, vocal force that demanded recognition and equality. The legacy of Stonewall continues to influence civil rights discourse in the United States and around the world. For enthusiasts of historical ephemera, visit history-collectors.com to find collectibles that might complement your collection. You can own a piece of history.